As you can see from my topical slide here, we're discussing, this is truly a big picture talk. You don't get much bigger than this. We're really talking about everything around the central and North Atlantic, also in the Gulf of Mexico. All the areas here in green are potential future provinces that are either opening up or about to open up regarding deep water classes. All the little dots here you see, kind of a hot pink here, will be fields that we'll talk about. I'm not going to talk about the discovery here off Southeast Africa, even though it's a big one. I'm going to talk about the ones in the Mediterranean. I may mention in passing the ones here in the North Sea. There's another discovery here called the Kazoo field, which has oil and perfecting sandstone inside in the Brandis Basin. So the next slide. Oh, we're just not doing this here. Forward here. We'll start out in the Gulf of Mexico, which is all appropriate. The oldest field found in deep water classes in the Gulf of Mexico is the Poza Rica field. Poza Rica field is actually, the field itself, I think, is over 1 billion barrels, and the complex is about 3 billion barrels. Interestingly enough, it's not silicia clastics, it's in carbon bioclastics that shut off the L11 platform. We're talking about this field right here. Second field will be, we'll talk about, will be Canarel Sahil. It's also in carbonate bioplastics. It's the largest field ever found on the North American continent today. It's anywhere from about 12 to 14 billion barrels recovered. Here's what the Golden Lane and Poza Rica areas look like. The Golden Lane, of course, was found in 1908. We won't talk about that a whole lot. It happens to be the reef from which the debris was shipped to the west. More likely than not, you had hurricanes even as far back as the lower Cretaceous. It's stripped, going from east to west, it's stripped off with some carbon bioplastics from here to shut it down into the basin. And the field we'll be looking at is down in here. It's a natural stratigraphic trap. It's really a three-way closure. Formerly this was all down depth, but with the starting with Laramide Rajman coming all the way up through the middle Lansing, it pushed the western margin of Mexico up, hence it reversed the depth down here. Now you have east depth, gives you this stratigraphic trap here. This is the seismic line. This is taken from Laos, an article, and Associates articles, Carriage and Jensen, a 2012 Search and Discovery website. A good seismic line that goes from El Abra up in here, across the reef, and that actually produces there a lot of oil. And the four-reef debris sits down through here. You can kind of see everything got uplifted in this direction and tilted in that direction. By the way, when you get to the bottom of the syncline, your oil wet down in here, and then the flank of the reef over here is all wet. So this dip is critical to the trap. Next field we'll talk about is Canarel. It's in this breccia sequence right in here, and it's really associated with the bowl-line impact that occurred right here in Yucatan and shed clastics in a symmetrical circular way from the impact. A lot of it went down into the Gulf of Mexico and formed a debris reservoir down in the Gulf of Mexico. You see it's basically, it appears to be detached overthrust here. That's Canarel, it's 12, 13 billion barrels. Well, recently it come back down and hit the subthrust down here and found another billion barrels. Side line down here basically demonstrates what that looks like. Now here's a map that basically shows the overthrust and the subthrust fields. This is the Canarel complex here. This is the Hill complex up here. Over here now you can actually see the little dot there is where the six-loop impact occurred here in Yucatan. And by the way, from here forward, I have a little inset map that basically shows you what we're talking about. The big dot here is we're talking about Canarel right there. The previous dot was over there in the Poza Rica trend. I'm coming back now, even though I discussed the first two reservoirs because they're bioplastics. Now we'll come back and talk about the silicia clastics, and of course we'll talk first about the Chicontepec sandstones in Poza Rica field in Mexico. Again, here's the touchdown platform. Here's all the wells you get in the Golden Lane trend here. Poza Rica sits here, and above it you've got, I guess, 3 to 5 billion barrels of oil in place in the Chicontepec sandstone. Originally, it was discussed as a big canyon sequence. They've come back and really realized now it's really 40 trout sediments. A portion of up here is probably canyon, a portion of over here is canyon. Now, as interesting as it would seem, even though you see all this here, nobody ever perceived what we'll see next, and that's deep water well cuts. These fields were found because one manager was astute enough to over-engineer a well and had enough money where you could actually drill a little bit deeper can still to find out what that odd reflection down there was, and nobody could really figure out what it was. You drilled into 500 foot deep and you found the Wilcox trend down here. What you see is it breaks up into two trends. You have the deep water Wilcox over here, the deep water Wilcox over here. These are fans at the base of the slope, and actually these fans go out onto the oceanic crust. The green deep wells, the tonnage production goes well below 20,000 feet, but it's still oil. Seismic line in its interpretation here, give an idea as how thick these bioclastics are. This is all part of the same basic sequence. Over here is the area around Alamitos Canyon where you get some overthrusting associated with salt. These are all salt pillow structures down through here. These big fields, you'll see several of them down here, Jackson, Malo, Deep, Cascade, whatnot. These are all pillow structures. They've been projected onto this line so they don't look like actual structures here. The Chinook deep field, which this line goes right across, looks more typically what you can see. Now these are actually very broad flanks on this pillow structure, but in order to show this line, they actually have to squeeze it quite a bit so it makes it look almost like a paper reed. Here's what the Wilcox sandstones, which are essentially are Chicontepec equivalents. By the way, they're equivalents to the Chicontepec, but they're also basically equivalent to all the first big deep water fans that were found at the base of slope, which would be in the North Sea. So the North Sea is basically also upper Eocene and lower Eocene age. You see, get an idea here of what these two structures look like. Again, it's a salt pillow structure, somewhat compressed. Below, very thick salt canopy up in here. You get an idea of what the pay looks like in here. Got a lot of gross sand. Net pay is actually about 350 feet here in Jack and 600 plus feet net pay over here in St. Malo. This trend will ultimately produce 13, probably 15 billion barrels of oil, presumably it stays economic if oil prices get dry. Now we move to the east. What we've done is we've moved a little bit farther off the Mississippi Delta. We look at the Thunder Horse Field here, which is a series of Miocene mini basin floor fans, I'd say. It's more towards the middle of the lower slope. And what you're looking at here is actually an isochromatic inverted depth center in here. Here's what these sands look like. That's 1,000 feet, 3 to 5 meters from there. These are very thick sandstones. This whole field will ultimately produce about a billion, so about 1 billion barrels of oil. A great addition to BP's portfolio. Now we're moving down. We spent our time up in the Gulf of Mexico Basin. We're moving slowly down through the Alamo into this Ilesis discovery that we haven't finished down. We'll start out here. What looks like a big snowplow coming through, which into the Atlantic Ocean here, is actually the Barbados Prism. Over here is Trinidad. There is some oil incorporated into the Barbados Prism. It's somewhat busted up by low faults, but they've actually produced some oil in the Barbados Crucianate Prism. Trinidad, as you saw in the paper, they announced several blocks have been contained offshore Trinidad. It's still an open province. Onshore, though, it's worked in several sequences, Miocene sandstones and also some river sandstones there, which are Cretaceous phase. Now, this is a slide I took right off the Trinidad and Tobago website. What they've done is interpreted a series of overcharts in here. A lot of thick sandstones down here interpreted, and that's the play that they think basically is an offshore eastern Trinidad. This is an onshore line that goes really all across the southwestern portion of Trinidad. It starts here, goes here, it ends very close to Los Bajos, fall almost where it intersects the shoreline down here. This would be northwest, southeast, northwest, southeast. Here's the Los Bajos Fall, well documented primary shear, synthetic range running between the two primary shear zones. What you see down here has interpreted is a series of detached, appears to be detached overthrust. There's a field right here called Penal Merrick-Port Anticline. It produces a significant amount of oil out of the rare sandstone, I believe, in the Middle Atlantic age. Now, whether these are actually detached overthrusts associated with somehow indirectly basically driven, or whether actually toe thrusts in any kind of delta building south from the northern range, I don't know. We'll find this out. We'll take a good look at this, and we'll see some things later on going through the slideshow. But whatever it is, you do have some significant fields here. Remember that Trinidad and Eastern Venezuela basin is supercharged petroleum system, so if you find a reservoir structure, you're probably going to find some more. We're moving down to this Ilesis field down through here. We're looking down here, this thing out there. I'll focus down down in here. This was found basically by conjugate margin geology, coming from this fracture zone that separated on one line down here. The initial part of this two houses was the Jubilee mahogany discovery over here by Tulloch had the acreage over here, and he basically discovered this isis in 2011. This is out of Campanian Tronian sandstones. I'm not sure what the age of these sandstones are, but I suspect it's somewhat from the same age, and probably basically the same source rock. Now, give Tulloch credit, it's all Tom Reggio field down here, which had 900 million barrels of oil in place, but it's very low gravity. I think you might be not proven. By the way, the sandstones here are the update equivalents that you come to back in the Wilcox Newport sandstone, which is shallow sandstone. It's very shallow, it's less than 1,000 feet. We moved down to Brazil, again we're moving down there, the bigger dot down there. We'll see is the legacy in Brazil, later legacy shelf break, a lot of fans that sit out in front. Notice the canyons that are basically feeding these fans down through here. These come from Bruce's article, which is a distinguished lecture, 2001-2002, talks about the Brazil invasions of the campus basin specifically. What we'll see here, we have a series of lower cretaceous through lower tertiary fans down here that are all lit up. We also have some carpets if you want to talk about that. Some of these tracks are salt related, some on pure drive, and we'll see that as we go through the slideshow. Here's an example of a fan, one of these fans that sits out in front of the shelf margin. Notice here's the fan, it actually extends from here all the way over to here. It's like it's dissected by some late forming fans. So the channels here, here, and here, which is scoured out the fan. This goes to this. What you see is you have a true bright spot situation where you have a trough over peak, which you probably, when you go to ABO, you'll probably basically see a good ABO on this field in here. Reservoir base reservoir top, you notice the channels down here are wipeout zone. It's not getting in here because there's no reservoir in there. This is a barracuda field, by the way. Then we jump across the pond now. We're back over across the pond to the Congo area off the Congo River. And basically what we see is a nested soap channel fan complex off the Congo River. Canyons that sit down through here. You got this how many these canyons are. This is a juicy little field. It doesn't cover that much area as some of these Brazilian fields. But it's all a stacked reservoir sequence. This Sapphire field was found in Butte, Sapphire. Sapphire was my prospect. I generated the set of 93 that drilled 95 by mobile. But Butte was a very great addition to Total's portfolio also. Now we come into Sapphire. This is from my article I wrote. Russo is the lead author in this job. I was the second author on this. That's getz. I basically come up with the maps and geology part of the report. But what you see is the Pharaoh is a topaz complex with a canyon cut down through it. The source rock was an unknown source rock that at one time. It was, I believe it is in source rock. It's involved in overpressure tertiary sequence. The canyon cut down through it. The oil's fed directly from the source right into these sands. And that's why you get Sapphire fields that's right in. By the way, it's a structural structure, not pure structural. Originally had about 1,000 acre closure on top, some of it's gas bearing. I thought it would be at least several hundred million barrels because up there in the same canyon, Edop field was 400 million barrels, which was trapped quite similar. When we drilled the field, essentially I presented three prospects, the Pharaoh, the Pasio, and Jade. Ended up all being the same field. They drilled the Ruby well to establish the oil water contact was 800 to 900 feet down. It hit oil, consequently, it could basically indicate it had to be at least 250 million barrels. Giant field that produced it has on the way to producing 1.2 million barrels of oil. At the time, this was rated at 300,000 barrels of oil per day. It's in Exxon's portfolio. And it was the top producing asset for about 3 years. This is another diagram I drew back in 2004. Gives you an idea how this whole system is working. You have the extensional part down here, the mid-dip translational part, and the down-dip interesting sequence or compressional sequence. You get a lot of oil produced from these up-dip anticlines in here. You get some produced from mid-dip translational sequences, not as big as fields where you have up-dip and down-dip. So the field sits down here within this canyon. Remember, that's a 1.2 billion barrel field, even though it was kind of Mickey Mouse in this diagram. Down dip, I also worked on Alba field, which was found a long time before back in the mid-60s. It started getting developed, I believe, in the early 2000s. I mapped this. I actually had some more production associated with my mapping. So Quavo field, the Quavo part here, this part here is basically equivalent to what you see these oil sands down here, actually gas down here. The bulk of the production comes out of the those sandstones. They're probably lower slope sandstones. At this point in time, this is lower massing times, probably close to the junction of the slope of the rocks. But basically what you're looking at is amalgamated channel sandstones. Those sandstones are 100 meters thick with like boxcar sands on the log. Now we come around the horn, we come from here over to here, and now what we see is, what's happened is this, basically. People started producing things like urusol and zafiro because water production methods that were still somewhat, being explored. So they played the areas on the upper slope, hopefully on the shelf, they can do it. But as production facilities methods increased, they started going towards the base of the slope. That's why the Wilcox plate came about. That's one of the reasons. But also, that's why Jubilee Field was found. Jubilee Field sits at the kind of junction of the slope of the ride. You're still kind of on the lower slope in here. What you're dealing with is a series of amalgamated channel sands and fan complexes down here. Now, this is an ideal situation because you have a churning source right above it. You've got these fans in the upper churning and campaigns. You can't get a better situation like that, and that's what you strive to explore for. You'd rather have your sand right in the source. Old gravity here is 37 degree API. There's a bright spot associated with this, also is AVO, and that's what people are using to explore this trend. Consequently, that's why they've been so successful. There are a lot of big discoveries found with AVO and bright spot technology. We move around the corner, we're over here. Now we'll come back over to here, and we'll talk about the Venus Oil discovery. And the Mercury Oil discovery is over here. And what they did is they came around the horn and made the play over here. This area over here is a blow up of this right in here. And what you see is these two discoveries, more than 45, feet or meters in that pitch right from this point. Jubilee over here is the Scott size scale, gives you an idea what Jubilee unit looks like. They're drilling ones like this. This, I think, might have been dry hole ahead a little bit. But they're slowly moving their way up the North African margin. Next we'll talk about the conjugate margin that's still on play, but will probably end up being a pretty significant oil and gas problem. It's probably more like the world. We're looking at a reconstructed conjugate margin here of Nova Scotia, Morocco. This seismic line runs here, this seismic line runs there. Where you see this mother salt down here with several tiers of canopies. Here like you only have one in this line. Over here you actually have two. They made some plays on the upper section salt domes here, but the salt dome fields are not that big. The big play is really down in here in the Jura Cretaceous sandstones. For my own reasons, that's my opinion. Here's the reason why. This is another APG paper put out. It talks about the Jura Cretaceous sandstones onshore and the nearshore area. There's massive, very thick sandstone sequences. When you come across the base of the slope, and apparently the low standard brought all these sands down through here. What this is believed to be, and why people are buying, a lot of people are buying these 2D seismic grids all on through to make the play. They're making the play on this, thinking maybe a Walker sandstone kind of play. Walker would be the Wilcox sandstones you have down in the Gulf of Mexico. Again, these will be base of slope sands. And whether or not you get black spots associated with early Cretaceous and Jurassic sandstones is questionable to me, but they may do it anyway. It depends on what oil price does. Now we've jumped over back across where we've come to here. We jumped from here over to here, and this is getting close to the end of my talk here. And what we see is two paleogeographic maps, one being in late Jurassic about 150 million years ago, and the other one in early Cretaceous about 135 million years ago. Look at the situation you have in the late Jurassic. By the way, the Paducah field sits right in here. It's been ultimately produced about 800 TCF gas out of Jurassic lethal carbon that tend to be hydrothermal gold guys. Studied this kind of extensively. But notice what you have here is some deltas, Laurentian, Sable, and the Shelburne delta down there, that all hit the carbon shelf margin and they've actually been extruded on the shell. So what you have here is a great deep water play. There's two ways to get sands to deep water. And a lot of people still don't realize it. I realized this more than a decade ago. You can either bring the shelf, the delta to the shelf edge, which is what's happened here. The other way you can do it is fail the outer shelf and bring the shelf, the upper slope into the shallow water. And that's what happened with the Coahuila Formation there in Equatorial Guinea with all those big canyons. That's part of the reason why it's so protected. That's all basically what you're saying. So, from all this, what we learned, again, this is truly a super regional picture. Companies are getting more comfortable drilling the ultimate deep water environments and moving down the continental slope. They started with these upper slope, as I say, established over actually the middle sloping environment. It's a fair idea of salt fields, but on the modern day continental shelf, they weren't that deep in water bed. And the percent the oil plays down along the lower sloping continental lines, Deepwater, Wilcox, Jubilee, Mahogany fields along the Ghana Ivory Coast boundary. And expanded our operations basically north from Curacao and Zafiro into towards Morocco's right now, and Sierra Leone, the big players. They're also moving north from Brazil through this Audacious discovery into Trinidad. And as you can see by all the blocks that got taken recently, Trinidad is the big play. Trinidad, I think, will end up producing billions of barrels of oil offshore. It's got everything going for it. This is a truly fixed regional. What makes it so great? Multiple Jurassic and Cretaceous source rock. You've got a lot of thick Jurassic, lower Cretaceous, and even up into Pliocene sandstones. But what in the Morocco margin, basically that's where you're playing down to. And I'll end on this comment. This is kind of nobody ever seems to pick up on. Picked up on very early. It's the first first oil field, a world-class giant oil field, was found in the Gulf of Mexico. It was not found in siliciclastic. It was found in carbonate bioclastics, and that's called the River field. And the biggest oil field ever discovered on the North American continent in the Gulf of Mexico is the Canarell Sahel complex. It is also in carbonate bioclastics, albeit from a low light input. Thank you.